Why, hello there everybody, hope you're all doing well, and today I've got some awesome news and details on Star Wars Outlaws straight from the development team over at Massive Entertainment. I'm going to dive into all of these new details right here in this video, but first I want to mention that I was actually flown out for the Star Wars Outlaws event, and you can see my footage right here of the event venue, everyone going into the event venue right here, and this is where we actually got to experience and play Star Wars Outlaws. And no, I could not give my impressions on the game just yet. I did get to capture gameplay, and I'll be giving my impressions as well as sharing that gameplay very soon on the channel. So if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you are looking forward to seeing the brand new gameplay, hit that like button as well. And then here's additional footage of the second day of the event, which was a whole tour of Galaxy's Edge and Disneyland. So we were all hanging out, and again, I'll give my impressions on the game very soon right here on the channel, so hit that subscribe button if you are looking forward to seeing that. But for now, I'm going to dive into all of the new details from this IGN article, because IGN actually did an interview with the developers of the game. So let's start off with this right here from Julian Garrity, who is the creative director of Star Wars Outlaws. And here he talks about how the game will basically start off smaller and then continue to open up more and more as you continue to progress and level up. So let's take a look at what Julian said. He said, "One of our intentions for the beginning of the game was to make it feel very small and then get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So at the beginning of the game, you start off in one room and it's claustrophobic, and it's meant to make you feel a little bit trapped. You open up and it's city streets, but it's contained. And then you get into some narrative stuff and you steal a ship and you explode into the galaxy, and all of a sudden you crash land on this planet, which is a wide open world," end quote. The article then goes on to say, "The aim here is to create a sense of everything growing for you, and not just the scale of the galaxy, but the scale of the possibilities for you as a character." It then goes on to say that fantasy and freedom is evidently at the core of Outlaws, and while all 5 planets and moons, Tashara, Tatooine, Akiva, Kajimi, and Kananaki, I probably said that completely wrong, won't be instantly available to hyperdrive between, Garrity claims it won't be long into Kay's journey until the galaxy opens up. And then we got another quote from Garrity here. He goes on to say, "There's a very structured intro that leads you to crash land on Tashara, which is a moon that we created with Lucasfilm Games. And once you finish the sort of linear narrative on Tashara, the other planets open up and it becomes completely non-linear, and you can choose to tackle those worlds in any order you want," end quote. This sounds absolutely amazing, and it makes sense for the game to kind of start off more linear, because I'm sure it's going to have that introduction moment and tutorial moment as you get used to Kay, her situation, the controls of the game, and so on and so forth. Now, the article then goes on to say this. This is from Carlson. To be exact, it's Matthias Carlson, the game director, who says Kay hasn't seen the galaxy. She doesn't know everything. The first time you come to Tashara, you'll have a map where you can see mountains over there and stuff, but discovery is what gives you more information. Now, Julian Garrity chimes in on this and says, "You're going to have to take some risks. You're going to have to go to a cantina, and you can eavesdrop and pick up on some conversations that will lead you to another location that reveals a location within the open world that you have to get on your speeder to go and find. And there will be a fog of war that you'll be able to clear up, and that's really where your curiosity will open things up even more," end quote. The article then says each of Outlaws' worlds vary in size. Tashara, Massive's newly created moon, is around the same size as the jungle planet of Akiva, but a little smaller than the vast desert of Tatooine. So each planet will vary in size, will feel unique and different according to this article. And I think it sounds awesome with how you have to take risks when you explore and go out there. So it's really giving that vibe of a true smuggler who's trying to survive in this massive open world. And again, it's not just one planet. We're talking about multiple open world environments in this game, which certainly sounds very exciting from what the IGN article says. Now, we're going to talk about this quote right here, where they talk about traversing the planet and just how long this takes on a speeder. So this is what Garrity said. He said, it was less about how big, but more about how long in terms of traversal with the speeder it would be. Tashara takes 4 or 5 minutes non-stop, which doesn't sound like a lot, but once you're committed, it's a fairly large amount, and you are always going to be distracted. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which was one of the games that we were looking at while creating this, you have different zones on the map. Tashara is 2 or 3 of those put together, end quote. So if you know anything about, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, by the way, that means that these zones, these different open world maps are actually quite large, even though it may not seem like it, because I know 4 to 5 minutes, it doesn't seem like a long time. But keep in mind, you are traversing on the speeder at full speed, non-stop, to get to one end of the map to the other, which is what Julian Garrity described there. So again, it sounds like it's going to be pretty big, considering that there's multiple open worlds and considering that that speeder is actually pretty darn fast. Now, they also spoke a little bit more about how you unlock abilities and how you progress. This was from the IGN article as well. So it says, perhaps Outlaws' most interesting method of breathing life into its open world is its approach to character progression. There's no leveling up or incremental stat boosts to drop experience points into. Instead, Kay's abilities and equipment are linked to experts, people you'll meet across the galaxy who'll grant you upgrades in exchange for work. Now, we get a quote here from Matthias Carlson, once again, the game director, who says, they are full-on characters, so they're spread out in the world, and you don't know exactly who they are, what exactly they have to offer you, and how to reach them from the very beginning. So there's this journey of discovery here as well, and once you reach them, there's a character there to interact with and an adventure to go on, because they won't instantly just, oh, here you go. And then they essentially open up a little regional progression for you where the nature of those things is also very tangible. So this sounds really cool. The article then goes on to say the following. It says, for example, after finding a Jawa by sourcing their location from overheard intel at a cantina, you can complete a mission for them in order to gain a new skill. In this case, it's to venture into a dead sarlacc to find a pristine tooth from its second mouth, which you can then exchange for a laser turret for the Trailblazer K's starship. It then goes on to say, it's a smart way of blending gameplay progression with a narrative befitting of the Star Wars criminal underbelly. And then we get another quote from Naveed Kavari, who's the narrative director, who says, you can go on a journey with a character such as an expert who is going to teach Kay a new skill and give her a new upgrade to her blaster. Now that skill, that upgrade definitely ties into Kay pulling off the heist, but it's also very much its own journey, which is in the Star Wars tradition as well. So it's really cool to hear that Kay is going to be progressing and developing as a character as a result of learning from these different experts in the game. I absolutely love this part of the game from what the IGN article revealed here. So I think this sounds very cool indeed. And let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. They also spoke a little bit more about the reputation system as well. So this is what Carlson said. He said, your reputation moving in the positive direction unlocks a lot of things for you. And of course, he's referring to being in a positive stance with one of the syndicates. So if you're in more of a positive stance or direction, this will unlock a lot of things for you. He then goes on to say everything from actual access to territory that they control where you might have only been able to sneak in otherwise, to landing pads in the open world, to discounts with traders affiliated with the syndicate, and unique, really exotic rewards. But if you really get on their bad side, that's another thing that you'll feel dynamically in the game, because they actually send hit squads out for you in the open world to try and take you out. And yes, this does sound freaking awesome. The article then goes on to say the reputation system doesn't just sit inside of missions, though. Smaller opportunities regularly present themselves to boost your relationships among the syndicates. These might be smaller skirmishes where choosing to get involved can benefit you and the organization you side with. A strong bond with one may even help you out with the bigger threat looming over the galaxy. If you, for whatever reason, end up wanted and you're being chased by the Empire and you cross paths with a syndicate that you have a really good reputation with at the moment, they might join in and help you out. End quote. And I like what he said there, where he said you might have a really good reputation with the syndicates at the moment. So I think that kind of indicates that your reputation with the syndicates might actually, kind of fluctuate as you play this game. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works out. Now, if you're wondering more about the mission types in this game, they also spoke about that in the IGN article. They said, in terms of mission design, we've seen action ranging from stealth infiltrations, frantic dogfights, high-speed chases, and intense blaster battles, with some quests even evolving to include all of these elements at different stages. Star Wars Outlaws is thus perhaps better thought of as a single-player narrative action adventure in the wrappings of an open world. So that sounds awesome as well. Now, they also spoke a little bit more about the whole cinematic feel of this game. So if you're looking at this game and really paying attention to kind of the nitty-gritty details of this game, they really focused on the 1970s original Star Wars films and made sure that this game captured those filmatic effects. So this is what they said. They said, for us, the sort of cinematic ambition that we had was in presentation. And this comes from Julian Garrity. He goes on to say, what we did was take a lot of inspiration from the original trilogy, but with today's technology. So very similar to what Rogue One did with its reference to the production design of the original trilogy. Its aim was to replicate a lot of the filmic effects of those lenses in the 1970s. So you'll see barrel distortion on the sides, vignetting, film grain, chromatic aberration, and of course, all wrapped up in an ultra-wide screen presentation. End quote. And from this footage right here, it looks absolutely amazing. That's what I can say about this footage that was released, about a month ago. So again, I think that Massive Entertainment, of course, with that Snowdrop engine, has some amazing graphics and visual effects for sure. And we've already seen that from the gameplay that's been released, from the trailers. Now let's talk about the living world system. Yes, they did talk about this a little bit, and they said, we in both Division games, but especially in the second one, developed what we call living world systems. And this comes from Carlson. He goes on to say, so same thing here. We have systems that make sure that the world is always alive with movement, traffic, speeders, zipping around the Empire, patrolling syndicates, have footholds out there, and these can cross paths. Also, sometimes more substantial events happen, and it's really up to you if you want to engage or not. End quote. So that's awesome that this world, even though it's quite large and quite vast, it's still going to feel very much alive. And from that interview there, he kind of indicated that a lot of the stuff that you're going to see will kind of draw you in to go explore and find out what's going on with some of the commotion that's going on in the open world. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. And then finally, they did talk about how this game is a game that feels like a heist movie. So this is what Navid Kavari said. He said, "I love Mass Effect 2. It's one of my favorite games. There were so many influences. I think you look at everything from Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 8 to Star Wars itself. The previous films and that heist feeling was always kind of in the fabric." And yeah, watching this footage here, watching Kay, hack this door open and do this mission here, it really has that heist feeling. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely love heist movies like Rogue One, of course, and then Heat is definitely one of my all-time favorite heist movies as well. So a lot of really, really cool things that we've seen so far, and a lot of cool things revealed in this interview. So let me know, what are you looking forward to most in Star Wars Outlaws? And don't forget that I'm going to be sharing my gameplay that I captured at the Star Wars Outlaws event very soon on the channel, and then also I'll be giving my impressions as well, so look forward to that. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.